set, hut, hut.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sound of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 15 to 10 to 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tay Von Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride!
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
We've no doubt tonight they shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night!
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into the Country Roads webcast. We're providing you West Virginia sports content from Mountaineer fans for Mountaineer fans. Here for our April 27th live stream as we have another WVU football recruiting update, perhaps the most highly rated recruit in the 2027 class thus far for West Virginia as they continue to craft a really good recruiting class for this upcoming year. We've got to talk about a big commitment that came through earlier today and a 4-star athlete, defensive back, classified by different recruiting services different ways, but either way, a very highly rated recruit that is committed to the Mountaineers that we're going to discuss in this one with Carter Bonner. That'll be the front half of the show. The back half of the show, I do have a little bit of a WVU basketball update to discuss here in terms of the roster and the transfer portal movement. And then, of course, we'll get to some of your all's comments before we close this out as well. Appreciate you guys tuning into this one, whether you're live or on a playback. Either way, be sure to help us out here just by hitting the thumbs up button, whether you're watching live or on a playback. That helps out with the YouTube algorithm. That way this video can find more Mountaineer fans like you and me. And be sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you get notified for live streams like this in the future. And, of course, you can tune into our WVU sports coverage that we're putting out every day, Monday through Friday, with our WVU News Daily Show. If you didn't get a chance to chat here live, which do encourage you guys, share your thoughts, comments, questions, all that in the chat. We'll get to some of those before we wrap up here. But if you didn't get a chance to chat live, you can still share those in the comment section. We'll respond to those after the fact. So with that being said, and no further ado, let's talk about this big-time edition for the WVU football 2027 class. As we see, 247 Sports sharing earlier on social media, 4-star athlete Carter Bonner has committed to West Virginia. He chose West Virginia over Virginia Tech, Tennessee, Oregon State, and Maryland. And you see the graphic there shared by 247/CBS. 4-star athlete for the Mountaineers, big-time pickup. We'll pull up his rating on each of the recruiting services momentarily. But we also want to highlight what he has shown for himself here as he put it out on social media also, stating, "Take me home," which is really exciting, of course, as he marks this on his own social media. And he shares the post from Riley Alberts, 4-star athlete Carter Bonner committing to play for WVU football, the number 18 athlete in the nation. And you see the nice graphic there created for him. I swear, these commitment graphics from some of these recruits are always really nice. There's another good one there for Carter Bonner, who may be the highest rated recruit for West Virginia thus far in this 2027 class, which I think is going to shape up to be a really special one, just judging by what we have thus far. So let's take a look at his recruiting profile. We'll take a look at the class, then we'll look at some of his highlights as well, because I know that's one thing you got highlights here in the recruiting class. We want to check out some of his highlights. Apologies there. I gotta put the screen full screen there when I share it because StreamYard's been having some issues. I know the webcam's been freezing whenever I share the screen, so I'm going to go ahead and put the screen full screen for when I share the screen here. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at his profile here on each of the recruiting sites. Let's go to 247 here first. As we take a look at his profile here on 247, just look at this highly rated recruit here on 247. 6'2", over 190 pounds, listed as an athlete on 247. He will be a defensive back at WVU as far as I know. Whether he plays safety or corner, that remains to be seen. But just look at the ratings here. Top 7 recruit in the state of Maryland. Another borderline state commit for West Virginia, doing a good job here in the DMV, getting Carter Bonner to commit. And as we said, a top 20 athlete in the class, number 18 there on 247, as we highlighted, a 90 graded 4-star. And you look at his composite rating, and it's not far behind. Still a top 10 recruit in the state of Maryland, and nearly a top 300 recruit nationally, top 30 athlete in the country, according to the composite recruiting there. And one thing I always like to look at here, of course, as you guys know, more so than star rating, more so than where they rank at their position, to me, it's the offer list. How does that work? You know, how many other programs that are high valued are targeting this recruit? And we look here, and it's mainly power conference players that are targeting Carter Bonner, You see West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Cincinnati, Kentucky, Maryland, Michigan State, Northwestern, Pitt, Purdue, Rutgers, Tennessee, Temple, Troy, Akron, Liberty, Miami of Ohio, Toledo, UConn, and you could go on down the list there. A ton of offers here for this recruit, a 4-star athlete in the 2027 class, according to 247. Let's see how he rates here on 3 as well. As we pull this up here momentarily, whoops, wrong tab there. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. It's the other on 3 tab we're going to share later in the show. But here we are with Carter Bonner, 6'3", 195-pound defensive back, as listed on 3, who rates him just as highly, coming out of St. Francis Academy there in Baltimore, Maryland. He's still on 3. We just talked about his ratings there on 247, how highly he was regarded. Here on 3, a top 10 player in the state of Maryland, rated as number 9, and nearly a top 30 safety in the country. And on 3, also rated as a 4-star. So either way you spin it, whether you're looking at on 3 or 247, this is a 4-star athlete or defensive back that West Virginia has landed here in the 2027 class. 89 grade there on Rivals, and we talked about some of his offers there. Highly sought after, and the Mountaineers land him this morning. A big pickup as West Virginia lands Carter Bonner for the defensive back group for the future, coming out of the DMV there in Baltimore, Maryland. A really significant pickup for this 2027 class. And let's take a look at that 2027 class as a whole here. Let me pull up that. As we now add defensive back Carter Bonner into the mix, a 6'2", 195-pound defensive back out of the state of Maryland, as we mentioned, joining the previous additions here for West Virginia, which thus far has a heavy influence on the defensive side. 6 of the 8 commits coming on the defensive side there. Carter Bonner being the latest. The 2 on the offensive side being running back Lee Prince Jr., one of the fastest running backs out of the state of Florida, and wide receiver Roscoe Hayes, a speedy, lengthy addition there at 6'6". But if you want to go through the whole class here, which I will, defensive lineman DeJour Webb out of Pennsylvania, wide receiver Roscoe Hayes out of Georgia, linebacker Mason Siravac out of Ohio, running back Lee Prince out of Florida, linebacker Bronx Baker out of Utah. You guys know one of my favorite commits thus far because we've been following him for so long. Linebacker Rick Brown out of Pennsylvania, linebacker Wesley Flamer out of Virginia, and now arguably the highest rated commit and the prize piece of the class thus far, and defensive back Carter Bonner out of Maryland joining the group there. As we take a look at the WVU recruiting class as it stands currently here in 2027, 8 verbal commitments into the fold, not done yet by any means, and this is going to end up being a really good recruiting class for the Mountaineers, I do believe. So with the look at his recruiting profiles, with the look at his profile there on 247, let's take a look now at some of the highlights of Carter Bonner, courtesy of his Huddle page. And I will link the full video here in the description if you guys want to check it out. Let's go ahead and pull that up. And let me go ahead and put this full screen. Like I said, I know the webcam freezes when I share the screen. It's a StreamYard issue. I've reached out to them. Hopefully they're going to get it cleaned up here in the near future. But for now, that's okay. We can still work it this way. So let's go ahead and do this. Carter Bonner, a 4-star defensive back committed to the Mountaineers. Let's take a look at some of his highlight plays. As you see him there, top of the screen, look at him pressed up against the defender. Watch him fight through this block and go through and blow up a screenplay. You love to see things like that. And what I really love here about this pickup for West Virginia as well is great size. It goes, with the pickups they've had in recent memory here with the transfers, as you see him get an interception there and then showcase some of the athleticism on the run back, as he has great length. We know that that's one thing West Virginia wanted to add to the defense this year. Seems like that's going to be the case in the future as well. Watch this again here. Play action from the offense. Carter Bonner not fooled, goes back and gets another interception there. So back-to-back interceptions there on the highlight tape for Carter Bonner as we take a look at some of his highlights here. And this is here in Maryland. Some good football here played in the DMV. Here's a third down stop. Look at the pass break up there from Carter Bonner on that one. And then here we see him right here. Yet again. Look at him right there. Oh, my goodness. Little offensive highlight there for Carter Bonner on that one. So that way you can see a little bit of the speed showcased for the recent West Virginia commit there and the athleticism that we're talking about with him. As, of course, high school, they play both ways. So we get to see some offensive highlights, which I think is good because that shows the speed and athleticism that you're bringing in here at the defensive back position as another offensive highlight for him there as he scores a touchdown on that one. Here he is near the goal line. Great agility there on that route. And great hands, which will come into play on the defensive side as well, as we've seen on a couple plays there from his interceptions. There's a TFL on a third down stop. And then here he is again, absolutely blowing up the quarterback there, trying a quarterback run. So a little bit of his highlight tape there. I will link the full thing there in the video description for you guys here if you guys want to check out more of it. But really excited about this pickup for West Virginia in the 2027 class of Carter Bonner, which already, with only 8 commits in tow, and I know a lot of people last year, talked about West Virginia's recruiting class. Oh, you guys were only ranked so high because you had so many commitments. Well, how about now? Only 8 commits for West Virginia, and they're already nearing the top 30 here, according to 247 Sports. You see West Virginia rated number 31 in the recruiting class rankings here for 2027. I think West Virginia is well on their way to another top 25 class here in 2027. We know last year ended up with a top 25 class from high school, a top 25 class from the transfer portal, and I think this staff's going to do another great job here. Only 8 commits already and still approaching that top 25 mark already. So I think this class will continue to be really good for the Mountaineers. So with that being said, let's go ahead and transition. I did have a little WVU basketball update. Then I'll get some of your all's comments here before we wrap this one up. Won't be with you guys too long. Usually do these recruiting, updates as a pre-recorded video, but figured, haven't done a live stream in a couple of days. Let's go ahead and get this in as a live stream. And with that, I wanted to talk a little WVU basketball in the back half because my friend Mountaineers Headline, I don't know if he's in here or not in the live chat, in the live stream, but he put me on to something that I missed personally. And that is that Neil Howard, if you guys watched WVU News Daily this morning, had him included on the roster for the upcoming season. However, it looks like that won't be the case. He has entered the transfer portal. A lot of movement here with the portal action, and this is one that I missed, was Neil Howard entering the transfer portal. So with that being said, let's go ahead, let's pull up our transfer tracker with Neil Howard's name now on the list there of the transfers out for West Virginia, which I know Jasper Floyd is technically in the transfer portal before anyone says it in the comment section. But as I've talked about in the previous WVU basketball transfer portal updates, didn't include him on the transfer out list because we weren't expecting him to return anyway. He's not a player with eligibility remaining, so I didn't include him here on the transfer out list. But Neil Howlett we will include there now. And with that, we can now update our WVU basketball roster for the upcoming season. If you guys saw the WVU News Daily earlier, this was kind of the main subject of that, was kind of trying to provide this update. As things stand currently, this is kind of the roster for the upcoming season. As you see, the guard position, you have MJ Finane returning, you have Amir Jenkins returning. Then at the forwards, you have Evans Barning Jr. returning. Everything else is a transfer or an incoming freshman. So we look back at the guard position. You have Finley Bizjack, a top 50 recruit there, joining the guards. Martin Somerville, I think a really underrated addition coming over from Florida State, joining the guards. Miles Sadler, who can't say enough about, all-time recruit at WVU, will be, a mainstay on this roster, hopefully for the foreseeable future. Definitely for next year, he's going to be a key piece at the point guard position. Keontae Graybear, a recent 4-star addition there, rounding out the guards. And then joining the returner, Evans Barning, at the forward. Thus far, you have Javen Buchanan, the transfer from Boise State, and Max Olajaz, the incoming recruit from in-state there in West Virginia. The centers, you have all 3 centers, funny enough, from Bella Vista. Mo Sila, the gem of the class, so to speak. He was a top 25 recruit last year. He's going to be an absolute force for West Virginia this upcoming season. And then joining him, you'll have a couple of freshmen also coming from Bella Vista and Alio June, and most recently, Amadou Sini, the 7-foot-plus center for the Mountaineers. So I think as West Virginia looks to round out this roster, you're definitely looking at wing players, probably some 3-and-D guys, probably some forwards. I know Seydou Traore is one guy we're keeping an eye on as he visited the Mountaineers over the weekend. Would love to add him into the mix there at the forward position. And we're waiting to see what the ruling is on this 5-for-5 deal, because if that ends up panning out, you could potentially have Brendan Laurent and Trayson Eaglestaff added in there as wing players. And I think if you are able to add or return Brendan Laurent and Trayson Eaglestaff to the roster, rather, you're talking about a top 25 potential WVU basketball team. So really excited about the way things are shaping out on that side of things. I know the main subject here was the big addition for WVU football, but I think things are looking up for both WVU football and WVU basketball as we talk about the rosters for both those programs next season. So with that being said, let me put myself back on the screen here, as I had to go full screen when I share the screen there because of the StreamYard issues with it freezing my webcam. And I know people are tired of seeing my face probably frozen on the screen here in these live streams. And that's also why when you've been watching the WVU News Daily shows, you've been seeing kind of just a full picture of whatever I'm sharing there on the screen, is because StreamYard's got some issues right now. Whenever you share the screen, it freezes the webcam. I've been in contact with them trying to get that cleaned up. Hopefully in the near future it'll happen. But for now, we'll just continue to do it this way. We'll continue to go full screen when we share the screen. But with that being said, guys, that's what I had on this one. Really just wanted to highlight Carter Bonner, a big pickup for West Virginia in the 2027 football class. And of course, hit on that WVU football roster, WVU basketball roster update, as I had missed a player that had transferred out earlier today when I put that out on WVU News Daily. Other than that, let's get some of your all's comments here momentarily. Appreciate you guys tuning in here, whether you're watching live or in a playback. Just one more reminder, either way, whether you're live or watching this after the fact, hit the thumbs up button, help us out with the YouTube algorithm. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to get notified of these live streams in the future and to get our pre-recorded videos into your feed every Monday through Friday. And those of you listening on the audio side, you can help us out with a rating there as well. And be sure to share that around with other Mountaineer fans you may know as we continue to grow the show here on the CRW. So with that being said, let me get some of your all's comments here. It's Coop in the house. Hey, good to see you, Coop. Let's go. Hey, let's go, Mountaineers. ESP, always eat shit, Pitt here. Always eat shit, Pitt. Jersey Ear, hey, my guy Jersey Ear in the house. If you guys haven't yet, be sure you check out Jersey Ear on YouTube. This guy deserves 1,000 subscribers. He does really great content, has really great presentation value. Love everything Jersey Ear's bringing to the table. It's a channel that I tend to tune into myself personally. So if you're a West Virginia fan, you need to do that as well. Check out Jersey Ear here on YouTube. As he says, awesome pickup for WVU. Gotta agree with you there, Jersey Ear, man. Big pickup here for this 2027 class. I think it's going to be a really good class in general, and Carter Bonner may be the kind of key piece thus far. Will that remain to be the case? We'll wait and see. But I absolutely love that West Virginia's landed a top 20 athlete in the class. That's big time stuff. Mountaineers headline. Hey, there he is. He is in the house. He says, let's hope he stays with it because you never know with most of these guys anymore. Yeah, that's the only thing here is, of course, got to close this out when signing day rolls around, or early signing day, as I guess they term it here in December. Got a little bit of a ways to go until then, and sometimes some big programs come calling later in the process. But hopefully, West Virginia getting early, developing that relationship helps them, and they're able to hold on to Carter Bonner here with the rest of the other recruits we have talked about here in the 2027 class. But if so, an excellent addition for the Mountaineers. We got Silas in the house. Nice pickup. Let's go, Rich Rod. I appreciate that. Silas, as always, was great to see you at the spring game, man. I always enjoy getting to see you, brother. Hey, he is in the house. Mountaineers headline. It's Coop asked, didn't Neo Hollett withdraw from the portal? It's possible. It's possible. I haven't seen that yet. But like I said, I didn't even know he was in the portal until today. I missed that one earlier in the process. Like I said, my friend there sent it to me earlier today. So he may very well be back on the roster. And if so, I'll add him back to our roster tracker here in the near future. But as far as I know, he's in the portal for the time being. We'll see how that pans out moving forward. Do I think that has, a huge effect on West Virginia's roster for the upcoming season? Either way, probably not, because he's a little bit further down the pecking order when we're talking about guards, when you have Amir Jenkins, you have Miles Sadler, you have Martin Somerville, and on down the line. So we'll see what happens there. I'm sure once they have the official roster up on WVUsports.com, that'll help us all a lot in determining who's still around, who departed, and all of those things. That's one thing I hoped to be able to pull up this morning when I did the WVU News Daily Show, but they don't have the 2026 roster listed there yet. I think that'll change in the very near future, especially since they announced the signing of Martin Somerville today, and all of the transfers in that have committed to West Virginia thus far have now been officially announced by the university. So I think in short order, we'll be able to see who's on that 2026 roster and who's not, and we'll be able to talk a little bit more about that. But with that being said, that's kind of how the way things stand right now, I should say, for sure. As it's Coop said, Somerville officially signed to. Absolutely. Tweeted that out earlier today when they announced that. Somerville with the official signing, which I guess we can go ahead. Let's highlight that really quickly here on this live stream. I may go ahead and do that again on tomorrow's edition of WVU News Daily. But let's go ahead and pull that up as well here on the side. On this side of things, let's read through the press release announcing the official signing of Martin Somerville, as West Virginia now has all of their transfer commitments officially signed on the dotted line, which is a great thing. So as we pull up the signing of Martin Somerville here from the WVUsports.com website, we get the official comments from Ross Hodge saying Martin has all of the leadership qualities and intangibles you look for in a player. He is someone who can play on or off the ball, scoring it or making plays for others. As we've talked about previously with his addition, he's thrown up lobs, and we know this is going to be Lob City with some of the players West Virginia's added. And I think he's really underrated on the defensive end, as Ross Hodge finishes by saying he is a connector and has an infectious personality. We're excited to add him to our program. Playing in all 33 games at Florida State last season, he started in 10 of those, averaging 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and I think the most underrated part of his game is that defensive side, over 1.5 steals per game. Scored a season-high 23 points at Virginia Tech on 9 of 11 from the field. Very efficient there. Also recorded 23 points against Jacksonville when he hit 5 3-pointers, so he has some shooting capabilities as well from beyond the arc. Really excited about this pickup, and I think really he showcased his three-point prowess in his first season in college basketball as a freshman when he was named the 2025 America East Rookie of the Year and named to the all-rookie team there at UMass Lowell, when he shot nearly 40% from the three-point line and set an American East Conference record by being named the conference's Rookie of the Week 11 times there during his stay there at UMass Lowell. So really excited about this pickup for West Virginia, and he's done it at multiple levels at UMass Lowell and now, of course, at Florida State, coming to West Virginia as a Power 5 transfer. Really excited about the pickup of 6'3" junior guard Martin Somerville, who joins the roster for the upcoming season. So perfect time to hit on that. Didn't have that pulled up in the meantime, but definitely wanted to highlight it. Probably will highlight it again on tomorrow's edition of WVU News Daily, in addition to some additions for the women's basketball team, which they've added another transfer from BYU who's a really good shooter. The women's basketball team doing some really good stuff in the transfer portal as well. But the main thing on this one is Carter Bonner, a big 4-star pickup for the WVU football team. Really excited about that one for sure. Really excited. It's Coop said that 6'7" girl Kellogg signed is freaking insane. I hope she can dunk. Me and you both, man. 6'7" is an awesome pickup for WVU. You've seen us, the past couple of years struggle with size. TCU had a couple of 6'7" players. Of course, Kentucky in the tournament, a game West Virginia should have won. They had some tall players there. I think when you look at the West Virginia women's team for this upcoming season, they have some size of their own. A couple of 6'3" players and now a 6'7" addition should really help the WVU women's team as well, as we highlighted that on this edition of WVU News Daily. If you want to learn more about her, be sure you check out the pre-recorded WVU News Daily video we put out this morning. So really excited about these pickups for West Virginia. It's Coop says, who did we sign from BYU? Let me pull that up momentarily. Like I said, I'll highlight it further on WVU News Daily tomorrow. But I believe her last name is Hudgens. Really good shooter for the women's basketball team to pick up here. Maria Hudgens. Let me share this really quickly. Maria Hudgens from BYU, a redshirt junior guard that averaged 9 points, 5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and over a steal per game, committing to WVU on the women's basketball side. A nice shooter there from three-point range as well. So we got additions coming in all sports, guys. WVU football with a big-time pickup in Carter Bonner. WVU basketball continuing to round out the roster there, looking to put the finishing pieces on it. And another good pickup for WVU women's basketball. Multiple, really, if you highlight the 6'7" big that we highlighted earlier today in WVU News Daily, plus the transfer from BYU. Really excited about the status of WVU sports in general, for sure. Mountaineers headline saying we've got a lot of girls who are at least 6 feet tall, and we might add another player or two. Yeah, they're not done there on that side of things. So we'll continue to keep you updated on the women's basketball transfer additions, and of course the men's basketball as well, as they should add at least one more transfer. We'll see what happens with the 5-for-5 rule. If Belo and Eagle staff comes back, you're probably looking at only one more transfer addition to round out the roster, but we'll see what happens there on that side of things, and we'll continue to keep you updated with that here on the CRW. So really excited about the status of WVU sports right now. The future is certainly bright. Appreciate you guys that tuned into this one live. Be sure, if you didn't get a chance to tune in live, that's okay. Watch the playback. I appreciate that just as much. Share some of your thoughts in the comment section. But either way, hit the thumbs up button. Really help me out there. I know it's a small thing, but it really does help out the channel. And be sure you're subscribed as well. The subscribers mean a lot to us here. This is part of my full-time job, helps me pay the bills, all of those good things. So, being subscribed not only helps you be able to keep up to date with the transfer portal movement, the rosters for all WVU sports news and all of that, but helps me out as well, putting food on the table, paying the bills and all of those good things. And can never thank you guys enough for that. With that being said, we'll wrap this one up, guys. Really excited about the addition of Carter Bonner for the football team and how things are looking up for WVU sports in general. And I'll be back to chat with you guys in the near future, whether it's a WVU football recruiting update or transfer portal updates for either basketball team. Plenty to talk about here in the near future, and can't wait to do it with you guys. Hope you guys have a great start to your week here on this Monday. As always, let's go Mountaineers.